Appreciate everybody being here and really excited about Friday night and excited certainly, you know, selfishly to see kind of where we're at as a team as we progress through this fall preseason and getting an opportunity to do that in in an opposing gym because of the beginning of our schedule, non-conference schedule was important. And also doing it against a really good team who I think is going to be a really good team this year with what Wes has coming back and what they've been able to do this offseason. So those are certainly some important benefits for us going into Friday, and we'll talk more about that. But I also don't want to, most importantly, I would say I don't want to leave out just how impactful this game can be for the Cincinnati, Columbus, and greater, Ohio communities, continuing off of last year to raise awareness for mental health in our state. And this platform, these two storied programs being together, I think that's the most important thing that we're going to be able to accomplish coming out of Friday, and really excited to be a part of that. And I'm excited to work with Wes. He and I have gotten to know each other more and more, and leading into this game and kind of helping organize this stuff. So Friday's going to be a great night for everybody. Again, most importantly, though, being able to work with the organization Jay's Light and support Anthony with what they've been able to do there was important for us. So with that, I'll kick it over to you, Wes. You're on mute, Coach.
You'd think I know how to do all this by now in 2024, but yeah, I'd echo a lot of the same things that Jake said, guys. I think first and foremost, just the opportunity to impact local communities. Let's not lose sight of this. That there's a reason that we're allowed to do a charity game, because it's something that goes beyond basketball. And I think obviously, when you look into what Anthony Grant and his family have been through, and they created this, the charity that Jake mentioned, and then they did the charity game with Ohio State last year. That's something that there's so many positive stories out there that maybe don't get enough attention. That's one that should. And I give Jake a lot of credit, trying to figure out a way to not just continue to do something like that, but to make it bigger and better. And he got all four schools, Xavier, Cincinnati, Dayton, and us at Cincinnati, all on a Zoom. That's hard to wrangle. Four head coaches is hard in its own right. He got that organized to try to see how we could all participate together. And so I give him a lot of credit for that. Like you said, it's been great to get to know him. We obviously knew each other from a distance, but had a chance to visit with him in the Nike suite at the Final Four, probably for the first time in some depth since he'd been the head coach at Ohio State. And, certainly, like, we're all very competitive, but there should be relationships between these local programs. And I think that finding a way to get together and play a game, having an impact charity, and trying to do something that's reoccurring year after year, I think is important. And I give Jake a lot of credit. I give Sean a lot of credit, and certainly Anthony, for finding a way to bring this together. And I do think it's something that can grow in the future. From a basketball standpoint, guys, it's great this time of year just to see another jersey. The idea of it will be, what can we learn, and how can we use it to be better prepared to start the season. I love the fact that fans will be in the stands. We'll get to see how our guys react to that. That is a totally different dynamic than we've had at Cincinnati the last 3 years, because we've been doing everything as a store scrimmage. So to play a program like Ohio State, that, again, I think has Jake and his staff have done a great job assembling a roster, and they should be as competitive as anybody in the country. So to play a great program with a great team, and do it in front of fans early, there's nothing that shouldn't be positive for us in the long run playing this game. So it's a good opportunity for us.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll go questions here. Start with Adam Jardine and Patrick Murphy on deck. Adam.
Right. Question for Jake. How are you approaching this game? I mean, you just talked about obviously the off-court stuff that's important as well, but do you go into this playing everybody the same amount of time? Do you mix it up? Like, how do you want to approach planning for this game?
I'm going into this game trying to get a good, accurate gauge of where we are so far in preseason. We're going to play everybody, and I don't anticipate really. I think in my mind, I'm going into the game capping some minutes, for guys. I want to see what everybody can do, but we also, we're going into this to compete and play with the level of urgency and toughness and aggressiveness that we want to reflect throughout the course of the season. It's just lineups are going to be different. Want to try some different lineups, and see what some guys can do. Right now we know each other's plays when we scrimmage. So I think getting a chance to get a true gauge of where we're at without probably showing everything we've done so far, but see what everybody on the roster can do is going to be important for us because, like Wes said, I think we're both like our main focus certainly is to play well on Friday, but our main focus is to get ready for our first game against Texas on November 4th.
And do you have an idea? Like, I'm sure guys pick up knocks and things as you go through camp. Like, how will you have a full roster on Friday?
Yeah, we're evaluating that. We've had a couple guys with some bumps and bruises, so we'll have a better feel for that in the next 24 to 48 hours.
All right, we'll go Patrick Murphy with Keegan Nicholson on deck. Patrick.
Hey guys, thanks for doing this. For both coaches, as you come out of this game, Friday night, what do you hope to have accomplished, knowing that you still have a couple weeks left before the season tips off? And then how do you feel like you translate a game like this into the rest of preseason?
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, the goal for us, I mean, listen, anytime you play against a different opponent this time of year, and it's been scrimmages for us the last 3 years. But anytime you do that, you probably learn more about yourself in that 40 minutes than you do the 5 practices before that combined. And it's a lot of what Jake said already. We're playing against ourselves a lot. And so you're guarding the same people, you're guarding the same actions that each guy, you're guarding the same defensive principles and defensive schemes. And so there's only so much you can take from that. When you go against somebody else, it's going to highlight the things that maybe you're doing well and you didn't quite realize. It's also going to highlight some things that maybe you're struggling with and you weren't aware of. So I think it's a great litmus test to not necessarily just where you are, because guys, 40 minutes, and as Jake said it, you're going to approach it differently in terms of your preparation and your strategy. Like, we will not approach this in terms of preparation and strategy like a real game. Now, we're going to be as competitive as all get out to want to win every possession with the 5 guys that are on the floor. And I know group will be like that too, but we're not going to substitute the same way. We're not going to, strategize the same way. We're not going to prepare the same way. The real goal is to kind of learn. And obviously I want us to play well. Whether we play well or not won't be that big of a deal in the long run. But what can we learn about what we've been doing here over the last 3 weeks and really have some more laser focused idea of what we have to do next week in practice leading up to our first closed door scrimmage a week from now.
Yeah, I would agree. I think for us, it's twofold. It's one, getting that, opposing arena experience because of, first game against Texas in Vegas. I think it's our third game at Texas A&M. This is a great opportunity for us to go in and what, we're expecting to be an awesome crowd and as it should be, because I think this game should be celebrated. So that part of it is real for us, and that was intentional, being able to get that experience before, some of our early non-conference games. I think the other thing is and Wes alluded to this, we can't get a better evaluation tool because this puts our guys in an uncomfortable environment, and the stressors of going against a new opponent, certainly without really a lot of preparation, specifically for your opponent, but more just focused internally on, things we need to continue to grow and get better on. And I'm excited to see the things that we do well, and I'm excited to see the things that we don't, because I think that's going to be really valuable for us. And I agree, like the value in a game like this serves, for the next couple of weeks will serve us far greater than if we were, just practicing against ourselves. And in the event of our non-conference schedule, the way it shakes out, the value of being in front of fans in a different arena should be valuable for us too.
All right, we'll go Keegan Nicholson with Neil Meyer on deck. Keegan.
Yeah, for Coach Miller, what have you heard from your players about how much this game means to them and how much you're looking forward to playing Ohio State?
We were off the last 2 days. We had a like a team retreat and almost like a training camp type thing out of town. So we were together with them for 4 days, probably more than they wanted to be together with us. But I have not seen them the last 2 days. So as a group, so I haven't heard them, talk a whole lot about this game specifically. I just know, and I imagine Jake feels this way too with his bunch. When you've been practicing for 3 weeks, and then now you talk about the things we can do in the summer and the fall on the floor. I mean, they're going to be excited to go play against anybody. I mean, they're just excited to see a different jersey. But then you add that it's another quality program. You add the level of players that they have over there. I mean, and then it's an in-state deal. If they haven't said it to me directly, but I'd be shocked if there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm about that.
All right, we'll go Neil Meyer, sorry, and then Scott Springer. Neil.
Hey, Coach Diebler. Obviously, we talked to Coach Miller last week, and we heard it earlier today that he said you were the one that really initiated this call between all four coaches to bring this kind of charity scrimmage together. Just talk about the overall importance of having this kind of event. Obviously, there was some maybe discussions of having this be year-round or maybe in the same event in the near future. But talk about the importance of having that opportunity for this state, not only this state, but these four programs and the overall topic of the mental health and how, what's your guys' message to that aspect as well as coaches?
Well, I think I got to see firsthand last year just how impactful, Ohio State going to Dayton could be. And Anthony, it was certainly a competitive game, but Anthony and his staff and their program, I think both of our programs were able to keep the main thing, and that's raising some real awareness and resources to support, the communities in the mental health space. So when you now have an opportunity to bring all four of these programs together and enhance that, I think it would have been foolish not to try to do that. And then the other part of it for me, someone who grew up in Ohio and is a product of the basketball culture, here in Ohio, to get these four programs together, it just made too much sense. And I think, being at Ohio State and being the head coach at Ohio State, I believe you have a responsibility to keep pushing the basketball community to grow, and anything we can do to help that in our state is important. So yeah, we'd love to. I think Wes and I are both on board, and I think all four of us are on board to, figuring out a way to continue this. And originally the thought was, let's all get under the same roof, potentially as a doubleheader. That wasn't able to happen just in the time frame we were working with. But if there's an avenue to do that, in the future, great. I think that could be awesome and special for the state and be impactful in the basketball community, and more importantly, supporting mental health and the resources throughout our state and our communities. But listen, I think if it's these off-site deals, if we can travel throughout the state and do it, I think we're all kind of open to seeing where this can go, which I believe it's going to be really, really impactful. We're already seeing it's going to be impactful this year, but has the potential to grow.
All right, we'll go Scott Springer, followed by Ryan Roberts. Scott.
Yeah, for both of you, what would be the substitution patterns like at a timeout? Are you inserting wholesale line changes? Is it first team, second team, or is it like a regular game? And then I know it is an exhibition, but in the final 2 minutes, if it's like a 2 point game, what do you say to your guys?
Yeah, I'll go first. Scott, we haven't sat down as a staff and finalized what we're going to do from a substitution plan yet in every detail. So I'll be a little vague, but that's just because I don't have the clear cut answers. Um, like I said, we're going to try to win every possession, right? Like we're going to demand the level of effort and focus that we would expect in any real game. So from that standpoint, and Jake's just said the same thing. I think it's going to be very competitive, and fans will enjoy that. But from a strategy standpoint, so just you mentioned substitutions, we're not going to approach it the same. I mean, my goal is to make sure that we get a lot of different looks at lineups, that guys get an opportunity to go out and play in front of fans and play against a different opponent and get a real chance to go do that and play through some mistakes, as we're trying to evaluate how to do that when we start in November. Like we want to have a real substitution plan and pattern by the time we start in November, and we're still working through that, and guys are still earning those roles. So this is just an opportunity to collect some more data and help make decisions a month from now or in the next 3 or 4 weeks. So again, I don't know exactly how we'll do it, but the idea will be to approach it very differently in that sense than a normal game.
Yeah, I like I mentioned before, I think, we want to play a much, much deeper rotation than we probably will come November 4th because we're still figuring out, a lot about our team. So there will be opportunity for everybody to, get a chance to show what they can do in a different environment and against, different people. But I agree, and this is why I'm so excited about this, because I think this is going to be a true test. Both teams are approaching this to compete and win, win each possession we can. Ultimately, right? Like, I think for me personally, keeping in mind that we need to evaluate who we have is going to be important. And we don't know exactly, I think, like I'm not prepared to go play a game from a rotation standpoint yet. We need more data. We need more information. We need more time to evaluate that. And we have that. And this is going to be an important tool for that. So I don't know exactly, is it going to be 5 guys at a time? But I do know that I do want to play everybody, and have everybody. And listen, I think depth is a strength for us. So we have to continue to evaluate that.
All right, we'll go Ryan Roberts and then Chad Brendel. Ryan.
You're muted.
Unmute yourself. There you go.
I got you. Hey guys, I know this is the first year of this. There's still a lot of details being ironed out. But is there any potential for this to maybe grow into a regular season event to bring awareness nationally with TV partners also included in this?
I'll let you go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things that is evident by our non-conference schedule is we want to continue to prepare ourselves for Big Ten play, and we want to play a tough non-conference schedule. And I'm certainly open to conversations about creating a pathway for us to play some of these teams that would enhance our non-conference schedule that are here in our state. And this is a start. I think that this is an important step forward. I also don't want to lose our ability to impact the community with this game, and how that comes into play in a regular season game. That needs to be discussed too, because again, as much as we're going to benefit from this as a team and learning about our team, I'd still the most important part of Friday, and I think this weekend is in general, is what the 4 of our programs coming together, the impact that's going to have in our state. I don't want to lose sight of that. So if we can do that in a regular season game and it fits, and it fits the intricacies of scheduling and things, I think we're certainly open to talking about that. In the immediate future, I think we got to continue to enhance, a weekend like this, and make it as big and resourceful as we can.
Yeah, I think first off, look at our non-conference schedule. We've we're playing Dayton, we're playing. So this actually, when we got all four on a call, there's only one option for a charity game for the Bearcats, and that was to play Ohio State because we're already playing Dayton and Xavier in the regular season. So, playing local games is never been something that we were opposed to. I think it generates a lot of interest, and for a lot of the things that Jake's already talked about, right? It's good for the community, for the state, the whole nine. And I think we're all aligned there. What I'd say to everybody out there from a fan standpoint, this is a great step to get in the right direction, to get all four programs working together to compete in front of fans. And then you add the fact, again, that we're doing this to impact the community as well. Like that, the combination of those two things are really neat. If fans and people, want to see this grow into something bigger and bigger, then support it. Like come out and show us that. And I think that would do a lot for the people that make decisions well above Jake and I's head, right? Like the administrators and people that make decisions. If fans are really excited about these four programs playing against one another and want to see that, sometime down the road in a regular season sense, come support this. And I think that, that would be something down the road that is possible. But I again, I'll echo what Jake said, just being able to get these four programs in this state together to do something that's not happening everywhere. Like that's actually very rare in college basketball. And so, I commend Jake for trying to wrangle the group together. And I commend everybody for willing to do this for a really good cause. But if people want this in a bigger way, then support it right now. That'd be a great step to show, and maybe this is something we should think about in an even bigger capacity and not lose the community aspect of it, as Jake mentioned.
We'll go Chad Brendel and then circle back to Adam Chairty. Chad.
Wes, you've got an interesting mix of veterans, guys that have played for you and for this program, with newcomers as well, transfers and freshmen. How do you find that mix in this game of leaning on your veterans while also kind of exposing, preparing the new guys for what's to come here starting in November?
Me first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, like we probably shouldn't even share this one, Jake, but Jake and I talked about, trying to see if we could play another 20-minute half on top of the 40, because, all the questions you guys ask are things we're trying to figure out for our team for November. So, I mean, I'd love to do all of it. And I think Jake echoed the same thing. But when we talked on the phone, but the NCAA said that, you had to limit it to just 40 minutes. No, I mean, listen, we want to use this as a tool to help prepare our team for November, Chad. So the idea of incorporating new faces and having the old guys continue to build on what they did last year, we're trying to do that every day. We'll try to do that again in the game on Friday night.
If you guys want to go 60, we won't tell anybody.
Yeah. You know what? I really wish we could. When we do the closed door scrimmages, there is no limit other than the CARA limits, the amount of time you're allowed to practice, which I think is 4 hours in any one given day. And so for years, and I'm sure Jake's been a part of this too, you don't just play 40 minutes against people. Sometimes you do more segments than that. And I think Jake and I both agreed in a call earlier this week that we'd love to have done some more situations. I mean, Scott brought up how you can approach the last 2 minutes. Shoot, I'd like to do a bunch of situations and work on, like how we do that multiple times. So again, I think from a coaching standpoint, guys, this is a tool, right? It's a development tool to get us ready for the real thing. I know from talking with Jake, he feels that way. I feel that way. But that won't change the want to compete on any given possession. I think they're going to want to win those possessions and ultimately win. We'll want to win, but as a coach, not at the expense of developing and growing and getting everybody opportunities and all the things we've already talked about.
All right, looking at the time, we got time for one more each from Adam Chairty and Patrick Murphy. Adam.
Wes, for you, what was your reaction when Jake reached out? Is this something that you've wanted to see more collaboration between these four schools before? How did that initial conversation go on your end?
Jake, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think um, before before all the rules settled out, there was talk about being able to play these types of exhibitions. And to me, it just makes sense to have a chance to, like Jake talked about, getting in an environment against a great program to prepare you for your season. That's better than a closed door scrimmage. And so we were reaching out to those programs that locally, so we didn't have to get on a plane, that we thought would help us develop and grow. And I think I might have reached out to Jake about that, and I could be wrong, but I feel like that happened. He's the one that said, "No, let's think about this in a bigger way. Let's get involved with the charity because we did this with Dayton last year, and let's get all four programs involved." And again, I'll point to the passer and thank the passer for the assist, but I thought that was just a tremendous idea. I think that's how it happened, but our memories can fool us sometimes.
All right, we'll finish up with Patrick. Go ahead, bud.
Was I right about that, Jake? Am I right?
Yeah, well, my wife reminds me that I have a terrible memory. I even get like our history wrong. So I don't know that I'd be the one to be able to speak act, but it sounds right. It sounds right. I think kicking it off was certainly a collaborative effort.
It was a collaborative effort for sure to get the conversations going, but it was Jake's idea to try to get all four programs on the same page. And to me, that's the thing that deserves a lot more credit because that's not easy to do.
All right, and Patrick, go ahead, bud.
Wes, in your introductory remarks, you mentioned Ohio State being I forget exactly how you put it, tough opponent. Obviously, this is a new team, Jake's first full season, but what do you see of the Buckeyes and what makes you think that this will be a difficult opponent for you guys and a difficult opponent for teams going into the season?
Yeah, well, listen, first off, first full season's right, but he did an unbelievable job as the interim coach last year to kind of turn that year around. And we watched him, like we're always watching games throughout the year, but I watched him as we were preparing for the NIT and watched him throughout the NIT and to kind of see that turn. It's not his first year in that sense, right? Like he's got some continuity there. So first off, like we know we're playing against great coaching and leadership, and so I give Jake a lot of credit. Second off, like look at the roster that they've assembled, and we're very familiar with a lot of their players. So when you kind of go top to bottom, like there's talent. As Jake mentioned, he's got a lot of depth. He's versatile, and so. And then you mentioned it's Ohio State, which is like us, one of those storied programs in college basketball. So I think all those things, were really appealing to us, and I think will be a really good tool to test us here early with the things we've been doing against each other in practice every day. But I'll give you an example. Like Bruce Thornton is a guy we played against in Maui a couple of years ago, and Jake was on the staff then. And we just had a load of problems with him. There's a really experienced point guard. Like it'll be really good to see Davion Thomas and Jizzle James, compete with a guy that's had that level of experience. And I could keep going through the roster, but there'll be a lot of things that'll be really good for us.
All right, coaches, thanks for joining us here and doing this and obviously getting this game off the ground and everything. And we're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, appreciate everybody's support with this game, and again, the more I think you guys can pump up the real most important reason we're doing this, and you utilizing your platforms, help support our communities is critical. So appreciate taking time for us today, and I imagine we'll be seeing all of you down with such a real nice friendly crowd on Friday.
Yeah, same thing here. Appreciate you guys, and let's not lose sight of the mission and the ultimate goal of this thing.